Welcome back, everybody. It's another episode of The Pursuit of Profit. Can you believe it, Leanne? It's another episode of Pursuit of Profit.
Can't believe it.
Love it.
What number are we at?
This is 19.
19. Awesome.
I know.
But only the second episode with wine.
Yeah, well, I'm excited for this new piece of this program. This is fantastic. Getting all my wine tips. Right?
So today what we are featuring on the show is Intrinsic.
Yes, I love this wine.
It's a 2016 Cab Sauv from Columbia Valley. So we won't waste a lot of time telling people that wine in Washington, where we live, is the best in the nation. But
take that, rest of the nation.
It's awesome. So you just look for the really hot lady in the red dress.
It's a great label.
It's a great label, and it's actually a great wine for under $20. Personally, like an everyday type of wine, this wouldn't be it. But it was given to me as a present, so I thought I would drink it on the show. So
you shared it with the show.
And Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everybody. Well, have you tried the red blend?
No.
That's the Cab, right? That's the Cab.
This is the Cab.
Okay, and I had the red blend last week, and it was awesome.
All right, so there's a shout out for our friends at Intrinsic.
Yes, way to go, Intrinsic. I love it. All right, Leanne, I love that. I'm getting wine tips and profit coaching.
And profit coaching, yeah.
It's match made in heaven. It's perfect.
What more do you need?
Well, we're talking about the freelance and gig economy, which is awesome. I love this because it's very trendy right now. There's lots of this movement happening where people are, whether it's Fiverr or Upwork or co-working spaces, there's a lot of stuff now where people are starting to freelance.
Yep.
And I know that you had I'm excited for the conversation because you have some ideas that sparked for you, and we can riff on those, but take me kind of to what sparked. You read an article and take me from there.
Well, what really sparked for me is I'm getting ready to keynote at a conference next Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
I was working on my presentation, and I was actually thinking about and doing research on how different the world is. Like, you know this about me, but the audience may not. But there was a time that I was running all over the country, and I was teaching everywhere that I could.
Right.
And what I taught then was really just about mindsets and mindsets as a business owner and profitable habits. But when I was really reflecting and preparing for this particular keynote, I was thinking about how much the world has changed, even in just the last 5 years. And actually, kind of a funny aside story, this is kind of memory lane, but I remembered as I was preparing for this event that there was a day, like in 1995, which is old. So anybody under the age of 35 is really going to struggle with what I'm about to say, but I was... I was in college, and I was in the computer lab, and I was writing a paper on WordPerfect. Do you remember WordPerfect?
Yeah. Flashback.
It was before Microsoft Word, right?
Yeah.
So I'm writing a paper on WordPerfect, and there's this dude in the library in the lab, and he's buzzing from computer to computer to computer, and he was annoying me. So I was like, dude, what are you doing? And he says to me, I'm putting the internet on these computers. And I'm like, the what?
Oh, wow.
He's like, I'm putting the internet on these computers. I'm like, what the hell is that?
Yeah.
I probably didn't say hell because I went to this private, religious school. So anyway, he says to me, well, basically, it's where your computer will use phone lines and will communicate all the way across long distance lines. Anybody under the age of 35 doesn't know or remember that we used to pay long distance charges all outside of our zip code, right? And he tells me, we're going to use these lines to call outside of our zip code, and your computer here in California will send a letter that you write to your parents through the phone lines, and it will show up on their computer. And I remember looking at him and being like, you're crazy. That will never happen.
That's funny.
Because now we hold very powerful little computers in the palm of our hands, and the world has dramatically changed, which everybody knows, but I actually think that in the last 5 years, we've maybe been frog in water syndrome, and we haven't recognized the massive changes that have happened in the job market, entrepreneurial market, and even in the space of how we interact with the world around us as consumers.
Yeah.
Which affects those of us who have businesses that sell to consumers. So it's all a cycle for sure. And so what I wanted to kind of start with is taking a revisit as I was doing research for my keynote, kind of revisiting this idea of like, how has the world changed? What has changed? And what is absolutely amazing is that I can remember years ago when I started my first business that I had to spend something like $4,000 to get a website built. And I needed to pay that technology person X number of dollars to help me get a domain and do all these things. Well, now we can use free apps and services like Weebly or Shopify or whatever, and we can be in business overnight. Yep. You don't have to have this hard, long process. So starting a business has never been faster, and starting a business has never been easier. And then when we take a step even further and we take a look at the share economy, taking a look at things like Airbnb, Uber, things like that, Upwork, where there's something that I have like a car or something I have like a home, and I'm actually turning that into a place where I reach out and I share what I have for a price tag. There's this whole entire segment of business that didn't exist before. Even 5 years ago, we weren't going to Airbnbs like we do today. Right. Even 5 years ago, we were renting cars and driving taxis to get to from the airport to our hotels where you and I spoke, right? Like that wasn't that long ago. And so all of a sudden, in a way, like if you take a look at New York City, where somebody used to have to pay $250,000 to get into a cab, so to speak, and be a cabbie. Now all you need is to download Lyft or Uber, have a safe car, and you're in business. So turnkey business and freelancing is something that is on the upswing. So the small business segment of the business community has always been, for the last 10 years, has been breaking record numbers. What isn't unique to us is the entrepreneurial spirit. Like, look at Ellis Island, look at how our country got founded. But what is unique is the kind of businesses we're starting now, and the kind of challenges that we have as businesses are very much present. But the reality of it is, the other end of that, it doesn't change with the purpose of businesses. The purpose of a business is to be profitable, right? And with those profits, we then can edify and build wealth for our families, and then turn from there and edify and create really wonderful places for people to work. And from there have impact on our communities. And so it's all starting with more and more people saying, I don't want a traditional job, and I have an idea on how to start a quick business, and I'm going to get going and do it now.
Yeah. That's where the self-expression thing comes in. You were mentioning self-expression before we hit record, where it's like people have maybe my current day job or my current business sells whatever it sells, but I'm like, I want to try something new. And so we add a side hustle or we add a gig to the side, and we start trying to find other self-expressions. But to your point, just because it's a better match or a better self-expression doesn't mean it shouldn't be profitable. Like, it should still be profitable.
Absolutely. One of the things that I feel is so prominent right now more than ever is that business owners, I see this truly when I'm coaching people, people that come through the doors of my office and just around the nation, I can see people are like, we don't just want profit. And there's almost this ugly stereotype where we kind of look back on the, I don't know, businesses in the past, or even if we have a really strong opinion, which I do, about corporate America and what happens there with their businesses and their tax loopholes and all of that. All of those things, we kind of tend to be like, we make them the bad wolf, and we kind of think that making money and being profitable maybe isn't so important. But what we want our business to do is in theory, we're like, we know we should be profitable, but our business becomes a form of self-expression, almost like a tattoo. And it becomes a part of our identity, even though it isn't, the business itself isn't actually who we are. It's an extension of who we are. And so I feel like there's this really constantly bumping up against this mindset that profit in and of itself and a focus on profit is evil and heartless and means that I can't enjoy or have my business be an expression of who I am or an extension of my persona. Right.
Interesting. It's really interesting. I feel like what you said that, and it made me think of a conversation we had with somebody recently, but it's not unique to that conversation, where people will say, I don't want to be a millionaire. Right? You go, well, why would you not want to be a millionaire? Like, and there's all the connotation and the story and the stuff that is attached to money, whether it's profit or millions of dollar net worth, whatever it is. We just think of wealth and success and maybe not so much success, but money as like a bad thing. Like, I don't know. This is really interesting to me. Like,
or the pursuit of money is like, it's almost like the desire for profit or the pursuit of a profitable enterprise is kind of a dirty subject, but it doesn't need to be. It didn't used to be. It used to be kind of like well understood. And I think that's why we're talking about this, because our economy where we've got this side hustle, freelancers, like it's so easy to start a business. Like I know this amazing woman who makes organic skincare. She's amazing. And she has a purpose in why she does that. And it's because she got in a car accident when she was 16 and she went through the windshield twice and her face was ripped apart and nothing on the planet healed her face. She started to create her own things and she fixed her face.
Wow.
When she hired me, she was like, hey, I do this because I love it. And I know how much little girls and other people with scars and cancer survivors, how much they are suffering.
Right.
But she was doing it at such a low margin that there was no foreseeable way that she could quit her job and pursue her passion. So there is this delicate balance between saying, hey, I'm expressing what I value, I'm expressing what I believe and what I want to accomplish in the world, and it needs to be financially sound. It needs to be profitable.
Yeah.
Very interesting teeter-totter.
It reminds me of, I don't know if the word is like conscious capitalism or sort of a consciousness economy. There is this thing now where people are wanting in the spirit of self-expression. There's this thing of like, I want to make a difference.
Yep.
It's not just, I want to sell the next thing, but I want the thing to sell to actually make a contribution to people. And it's easy. I find myself in this position right now. It's easy when something is a self-expression to, because it is so emotionally fulfilling.
Yep.
That the emotional fulfillment almost feels like the compensation while I'm still struggling to pay bills, right? Like I keep doing the work because it feeds my soul and I know that it makes a difference over there. And so I'll find a way to keep the lights on, but I don't find ways to increase the profit, right?
Right.
Yeah.
There's go ahead.
I think that's part of what lulls us to sleep when we're in this place of self-expression is it's easy to lull yourself to sleep in the realm of profit because you're getting such a payoff emotionally from the work you're doing that you stop looking at how to grow the profit of the business.
Yeah, or how to even find the profit of the business.
Okay. Ouch. Okay. Fair enough.
I wasn't talking to you.
Yeah. Fair enough. That's good.
That's actually a really good point. And I think that there's an element here of like, I want to just encourage the audience. Like, if you are one of those people that just loves your business and you're in that place, I've been there where, and I'm there all the time. Like, I love doing what I do. Like, I want to do it for free, but the reality is we have to make a livelihood. We have to provide for our families. And for those of us who are parents, like, I've got these two little girls who interrupted our last show, I might add. But I have these two little girls and they're looking at what I'm creating. And there's an element of, I have to explain to them why I leave them with a nanny and I go to work, and what mom does, it matters. And they watch, there's a direct correlation. And whether you're a parent or not, I think it becomes important to recognize that we can love our work all day long. We can make an impact. We can change people's lives. We can be focused on changing our cities and our communities. But at the end of the day, one of the things that impacts our lives the most is whether or not we're broke or thriving.
Yeah.
And it's, I don't mean to be ugly to talk about that, but there's no reason for you to run your business in a way where you have to sacrifice what's important or your values and be broke when you could do everything you're doing and thrive. It just takes different mindsets.
Yeah.
And it takes different habits with money to get that result.
Yeah.
There's no reason to do it for free.
And it's not as hard as it sounds. Like, if you can get some infrastructure in place, we've had this conversation on these episodes and about this, and this is the work you do with people as a profit coach, but you get some infrastructure in place and then a lot of it just kind of gets to be automated, but you're automating things with the mindset of what's happening because you've gone through the work with Leanne. Like, once you understand what there is to put in place, it's not, again, it's just I think people avoid the conversation or resist the conversation of money or what it takes to get profitable because they think there's a lot of extra hard work that's attached. Yeah. The hardest work to this with Leanne is the mindset stuff. It's not the mechanics of how you move money. It's the mindset stuff.
Yeah.
I think true. Having been through your process, like, it's the mindset stuff. That's the hardest.
It is. Today I had a couple in my office. They have a very successful business. They're awesome. And I was laying out their profit plan. They'd never seen it before. They'd heard like glimpses about it, but I'd like whiteboarded it and I was all ready. And she's definitely the person that runs the books and is like, understands QuickBooks and does all that. And he's definitely the guy that runs the business, right?
Right.
And I sat there with her for at least 20 minutes and I kept saying, no, we're not talking about accounting. We're not changing how you do accounting. That's not what this is. Mm-hmm. What this is changing the way you look at your money and what you do with it.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, Chris, it took her 20 minutes. This is at the end of 12 weeks of meeting with me every single week.
Yeah.
She just had such a brain cramp. She almost couldn't move through it. She did. She got there. But you are so spot on. It isn't this process and what we do and going from I'm not profitable and I'm doing this for free, or I'm not profitable and I'm taking losses, which aren't good, by the way, no matter what your CPA tells you on your tax return. Losses are never good. To I'm thriving and I'm paying myself and I'm funding my IRA accounts and my employees are being taken care of and. Those things happen when you throw out accounting, like I told my client to do today, and have a shift in your thinking and what you do. The shift is in you and how you approach finances, not in changing whether you use QuickBooks or Wave apps. That's not what this is about.
Yeah.
Ever. And if it is, you should shoot me.
Nice. I love that. Well, I think just on the heels of talking about what it is that you do, and there's a great story of the person, because I think people can get through 12 weeks and it's just the patterns we've ingrained over time. But what the way you get through that is in a conversation with Leanne. I mean, the way you get through that is having somebody outside of you coach you through the mechanics and the mindset, both the two M's there, mechanics and mindset, for what it is you need to do to take control of profit.
Absolutely.
And profit isn't a dirty word. So Leanne, if people want to reach out to you because they're fans of the show and they love your wine tips, but moreover, they really, really finally want to break through this profit conversation and they feel like you're the person to do it, how do they reach you?
ProfitDiscoveryCall.com. And in there, or on there, there's a place to download the 5 money mistakes that are stealing your profit and what to do about it. So if you feel frightened to reach out to me and talk to me, and if you didn't catch the episode where I threw myself under the bus, that story is in the ebook. So you can see my failures and how I got myself and my businesses profitable, along with other people. But if you just want to do a consultation and just talk, and you can book an appointment right then and there, and we'll do a consultation. You're going to be talking to me about your business, and it's what I call a no-sin zone. So there's nothing you can say that is going to shock or surprise me. You just come and we talk about what's possible, and I hope you leave with a ton of value, whether you decide you want to work with me long-term or not.
Perfect. So good. So much value. I love it. Leanne, thank you. Thank you for your time. I love our conversations and your wine tips. So I can't wait to see what wine you're drinking next episode.
Intrinsic.
Forever. Long live Intrinsic. All right. Leanne, thanks for your time. Catch you next time.
Bye.
Bye.